Hey guys, so in this video we're going to look at using CSS in Dreamweaver. I know we haven't talked about that yet, but it'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and open Dreamweaver. We looked at images already, but I'm also going to grab a background image from Pixabay. And I showed you where background images are, but I didn't really even mention them, so depending on how observant you are, you might have noticed them, started playing with them, but you might not have, and that's okay. So I'm going to search Pixabay for textures. And I'm going to try to find one that I like that isn't too strong. By strong, I mean not a whole lot of contrast, because that can be distracting and make things difficult to read. Actually, I think I know which one I want. I'm going to go with these leaves, actually. It's not at all what I was originally intending on getting, but it'll work. Public domain, just like the Mighty Roar cat that I found, so I can do what I want with it. Actually, is that big enough? So I want to make sure that it looks good on a majority of people's screens. So I want to make sure that that's big enough. So as of January 2014, 34% of people are using something even higher than 1920 by 1080. So that's rather huge. I'll do the 1920 by 1280. I think that's fine. Anyone who has a bigger resolution than that anyways is probably already used to not loading pages in their full size. Okay, so I've got my image here. I'm just going to go ahead and drag it to the desktop. There's my leaves. So I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller. And there's actually other things I can do with this too. This is already the perfect resolution for a computer screen. It's at the right size, both width and height, for that top tier that it showed listed of 12%, not including the 34% of people who have higher than that. But there's a lot of white space, and that's a lot of extra pixels and data that I don't need. So I'm going to crop it right here, because all of those white pixels below it are not beneficial, and they are definitely making the file size larger than it has to be. And I'll just get something that I guess I'm okay with for now. I guess that'll work. So 268, so that's much better than the way it was at the 400 and whatever, half a megabyte. We'll call this BG Leaves. I chose not to do Leaves BG, because if I decide to eventually use more backgrounds later on, by starting the file name with BG Leaves, if I have more backgrounds later, I can start them all with BG, and then I have them sort of organized together when I sort by name. Alright, so we're going to do just a new HTML document. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our page properties again. Now we're only going to use CSS, so we're not using this HTML like we did before. Instead we're going to use just CSS. With CSS we have a lot more options. Notice with HTML we only have this, and then of course we still have the title. But with CSS we have all three of these, plus the title. And don't worry about tracing image, that comes later on. We probably won't discuss it in this course. So page font, what do I want the font to load as? I like sans serif fonts, and I like Helvetica, so I'll go with the Arial Helvetica combination. We'll go with size 18, which is actually pretty huge, but it'll make it easy for you guys to see it on the video. Go with a dark blue. Background color will be white, because my background image is these leaves. And I'm going to tell it that I don't want it to repeat on the y-axis, so it will repeat sideways, but it will not repeat vertically. We'll go ahead and add a margin in, because I don't want the writing on the leaves, and I think I'll just do a 20 margin on the left side. And I accidentally told it the wrong one. I want it to repeat X, not Y, and this is about repeating as opposed to not repeating, so there we go. Here on CSS, I can also choose a few things. I can choose what font I want my links to load in, so they can load in an opposite one. I'm going to use a serif because I often like to mix serifs and sans serifs. We'll make the link color, we'll go with purple. We'll make a visited link purple as opposed to sort of the burgundy maroonish color earlier. And we'll make the visited link sort of a magenta-ish color. Yeah, I think that's fine. And active links will become pink. And actually, I don't want always underline. I think I want show underline only on roll. No, I'm going to do hide underline on rollover. And for headings, I can make some customizations here as well. Let's make the headings also in a serif font so it contrasts nicely with the sans serif. I think I like Palatino, if I remember correctly. We'll go ahead and go with that. And I think I want them to be italicized also. We'll add in some headers. This one to be 24, and we'll make this one 18. Nope. We're going to go with this one as 36 so you can actually see some contrast. This will be 24. And that will be 18, and I'll make these 18 as well. If I don't like a particular value, I can actually go in here instead, and I can type in my own, so I can make this 20 if I wanted to. And I could modify all of them if I wanted to. You can also change the unit of measurement, but I would recommend keeping pixels. Let's see, we'll make large ones be maybe a brown. And we'll make the subheadings be a really deep blue. And what about this? Maybe they're just all that deep blue as well. And go in here into our title. And there we go. So we don't really see anything yet because I haven't put anything down. I've just customized the CSS. So last time we worked quite a bit in this common window here of the insert palette. We're not going to use a whole lot of that this time. This time we're going to play primarily with the CSS options and the properties down here. Very first thing is let's just put down some text that we can work with. And I'm going to pop back into Firefox really fast to just find some lorem ipsum. Just copy, paste. And I also want an image, which I'm going to want next to this paragraph. And I don't really want to deal with finding one right now, so I'm just going to use a place kitten, which is a placeholder image that happens to be a kitten. I think place kittens will work inside of Dreamweaver. Maybe not. I'll go ahead and start with this. We'll call it kitten placeholder. And I'm going to go into my code real fast, and I'm going to try to make that place kitten work. Just paste over the image name. Go ahead and get rid of the width and the height because it's not going to actually be the same. There we go. Place kitten works. You just have to do it manually. So now I'm actually going to play with some CSS. So I don't want this to be regular. I want this to be heading 1, which we can see there. That's not very easy to read, but I'll play with that in a few minutes. I want this to be heading 2. This will be just regular paragraph text like it is. And this will be something special, but I'll explain that in a moment. So right now, these are being described by the CSS styles, and I set those when I was doing the page properties. Now we can do them here, but you're rather limited in what you can do here. You only have a few options. However, once I am here, I can double click on these, and I have a lot more options. So, for example, let's see what happens if I play with this. Let's do word spacing. Let's try 1. Let's try letter spacing as 1. Let's do text align center. And that's fine. I don't want to play with that. Let's give this a border of dashed, and we will make it thick, and it will be green. But I don't want it same for all. I want there to be no border on the right or the left, and I want the one on the bottom to be orange. Maybe this will then actually be blue. I like blue and orange together better than green and orange, and blue and orange are complementary colors, so I think that'll be better. Type, I'm not entirely thrilled with that, but I don't want to change it here because if I change it here, it will change it for all of these. And actually, speaking of that, that means I don't want to do it with the border either. So we're actually going to go ahead and do, we're actually going to go ahead and do none for these, and I'll change them in a minute. So if we do apply, you can see what that did. And go into H2, which this is an H2. And I'm going to give this a background color of white. And I think that's all I want to do in this one. Oh no, I know what I want to do. I'm going to do a border color, or I'm going to do a border, but I'm only going to do the bottom. We're going to do dotted, and it will be thick, and I'm going to try to match the same color. So I think it's that one. There we go. A little bit longer than I thought it would be, but that's okay. And we'll do H1. Make the background also white. And we'll play with the border as well. This will be dashed. This will be thick. We're going to make this blue. We'll go ahead and mark these off now. I don't want any on the right, and I don't want any on the left, and I want this to actually be green. There we go. And actually this needs to be a CSS style too, and I want it to be on the right, which I could do align right, but I don't want to do it that way because that's HTML. Instead, I'm going to do it with CSS. So I'm going to make a new style. I'm going to call it images. I'll press OK, and now I can start telling it what I want. So we're going to do a box. It'll be auto. Height will be auto. Float will be right, because I want it to float on the right side. I want it to be floating around over here. Let's do padding 20. And let's give this a border. Let's give this maybe a groove border. We'll make it medium. And we'll make it orange. Did I give this a background? I don't think I did. Let's go ahead and give this a background too. We'll make this maybe a medium gray to go with sort of this image here. Okay, now I pressed apply, but nothing actually happened. So when I right-clicked on this, and I told it a new style, it did not actually apply that style to my picture. I still need to actually click on my picture and tell it that I want this to be class images. And there we go. Now this is a little bit hard to read. So I think this also needs to have a background on it. So let's find my body text, which is right here actually. And we are going to give it a background. Actually, I could have done either one, I think. Go ahead and tell this to be white. And I want there to be some padding on this as well. Maybe also 20. I don't see the white background appearing. That's okay, there's another way we can do this. So some attributes don't work with certain tags, and so apparently the white background does not work with body text, but that's okay because we can do something else. We can insert a div tag, and we're going to make a new rule, and it's going to be body text. And so in this, we're going to tell it that we want this to be white, and that we want 20 padding. And let's go ahead and also make a thin little dashed line around it. Okay. Now we still have this insert div tag window open from just a second ago, and we can see that by default it's assuming that I probably want to use the new CSS rule that I made, which I do, so I can press OK, and there we go. This new div tag is being styled by the rules that I just made. If I hadn't given it any rules, it would look like that, which isn't really very helpful. So, there we go. We have some text inside of a div tag, which actually it's loading a little funny. See how you have this line going sort of behind that box? What's going on with that? So if we go to our body text class, let's see if we can do something about that. Let's go ahead and tell this to float right, and let's see what that does. There we go, now we have the border. Now can we give it a little bit of space? What if we give it a 40 pixel margin on all sides? There we go, that's quite a bit better, but I actually don't like it being on top. Maybe only 10 on top? There we go, that's pretty good. So that's kind of playing with CSS. Now, right now, this isn't a very great design. It's actually pretty tacky. But you can see the types of things that you can do with it. And if you really kind of come up with an idea ahead of time of how you want it to look, once you understand it, you can do some pretty impressive things with it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. If you did, you can very quickly and easily let me know by just clicking the thumbs up or the like button. If you need any help, let me know and I will see what I can do.